Welcome to Andy's Garage. I'm Andy Phillips. Today just wanted to do a quick follow-up video to a video I posted several months back where I showed how to get the most out of your vehicle. We showed some basic things that I do that have enabled my cars to last well over 200,000 miles. Let's go ahead and get started. Now in that video, I went through all of my different vehicles. I have 6 vehicles. We showed the different ones, their mileage, but we ended off with this particular one here, which is a Kia Rio that I have. At the time of the video, we had over 270,000 miles on the car. If you want to check out that full video or where I went through all the different vehicles and the different process that I do to make them last long, you can check that out via the link above, also down in the description with some other videos that might be helpful for you. But basically, all I do really is just maintaining the fluids, maybe adding some additives, especially with this one that has a lot of mileage on it, and then doing some other routine maintenance that anybody can do, and that will enable your vehicle to last very long. So since that video, we've added more mileage to the vehicle. We're going to go inside. I'm going to show you where we're at right now. And I actually just finished doing an oil change on here. So I'm going to show you just some basic stuff that I do when I do the oil change with some additives and things that have enabled it to last this long, running as good as it does. But let's hop inside the vehicle and I'll show you what the mileage looks like now since the last video. All right, I'm going to start this thing up, or at least powered up, so we can see what the odometer says on here, and I'll show you where we're at. You can see there, 288,411. I believe in the last video, I think we were around like 273 or 276, somewhere in that range. But car is still running great. As I mentioned already, just did the oil change. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to add at the time of the oil change. Then we'll take it for a spin so you can see the car in action. Obviously, because the car hasn't been started, you have these lights on here, but you want to always check your check engine light. If you do get that coming on, you definitely want to make sure you connect it to a scanner and find out what the problem is, get that corrected as well, because that will also help your car last longer. But let's head outside and top off the oil, and I'll show you what we're going to put in here. All right, so now that all the oil's been drained out, and on this Kia Rio, if you want to see a video I did on how to do the oil change on it, I'll have that link also down in the description because that's the vehicle that we're working on. It's a 2013. But what I'm going to do, we're going to add 1 container of this high mileage oil stabilizer by Lucas. I always put this stuff in. If your car's not a high mileage vehicle yet, meaning it's not over 75 or 100,000, you can put just regular oil stabilizer. But I always put this in there. I know some people are against it. I've always used it, and as we see, we're pushing 300,000 at this point. Now the goal is to keep this car lasting, and then I recap with you guys again when we pass the 300,000 mile mark. Hopefully we'll get there. But we're going to add this. Another thing, I always put full synthetic in my vehicles. As soon as I get a vehicle, if it's a used vehicle, I swap it over to full synthetic as well. But that's another thing that I do. That's important also because the synthetic oil breaks down a lot less than regular oil, so you can go a little bit longer. So we're going to add this quart, and then we'll finish the rest of it with this, checking the levels. You don't want to overfill it. But I'm going to go ahead and start putting that in, and then we'll take it for a spin. Now this stuff here can be very thick. It's almost like a honey. A lot of people recommend heating it up first to make it flow a little bit better. I didn't, unfortunately. So let's get this out of here for now. And I'm just going to pour it in just directly from here. And you'll see it coming through how thick that is. But we'll put that in first. All right, we are almost done. And before I go any further, let me just say, because I know I mentioned about putting this in first and topping it off with the oil, I'm probably going to get comments from people saying you shouldn't do that because, you know, this is thicker and all that stuff. But I did prime the oil filter first, so that was filled up as well. If you want to see a video I did on how to prime that, you can check that out also via the link above down in the description. But that's already got oil in it. But I like adding this first because whatever your capacity is, this one here, I believe it's like 4.5 or 4 point something is the capacity for the oil. We put this in and then fill it up accordingly. Because if you try to add this after, sometimes you could wind up overfilling if you don't get that right. So I always put this in first after priming the filter. Now that this is pretty much done, there we go. This stuff is pretty gooey. There we are. All right, so next we have our full synthetic oil, and you can see I'm using SuperTech. I'm probably going to get comments from that too, Walmart, all this nonsense. I've been using SuperTech oil in all of my cars ever since I've had them. They're running great. I'm not going to waste money. Years ago, I would get Mobil One, those expensive ones. I didn't see any difference. So if you want to get ripped off, it's up to you. But I go with, just the generic, as long as it does the job. And as we saw, it's doing a great job. So that's what I'm going to put in here. So let's open this up. We'll get the funnel in here, and then we'll check the levels and then top it off. All right, we're full. Get that out. Cap this off. Let's take the car for a spin, and I'll show you how the gauge cluster looks. You can see that there's no check engine light or any other thing on, and then we'll conclude this video. You can see no lights on, car's running great and smooth. This car runs great. For a car that's pushing 300,000, it's got a lot of pep and power, but just got to maintain it. Got to take care of it. Top off the fluids as needed. Make sure you keep up on your fluids. Check everything. Check engine light comes on. Address the issue. Check out some of my videos on my channel. I show how to do all that, but anybody can do this, and you can get hundreds of thousands of miles out of your vehicle. A lot of people think, when you get around 100, 150, the car's going to go. That's not the case, as we saw here. And if you saw my full video where I went into everything, I showed some of my other vehicles. I've got other cars too that are over 200 and pushing 200. All right, well, that wraps up this video. Just wanted to do a quick follow-up to show you the additional mileage that we've gotten out of this car so far using the methods that I went over in the first video. Just a basic summary: check your fluids. I recommend putting an oil stabilizer in when you get to the high mileage, just to help kind of lubricate and cushion things a little bit better. Check engine light comes on, make sure you get it checked. If you want to see how to check it, or I did a product review on a Bluetooth scanner, which was really good. I'll have those links down in the description. But you want to make sure that you get those addressed. A lot of times it's O2 sensors, mass airflow sensors, misfires, things like that, that the average person can do. I have a lot of videos on my channel pertaining to those if you want to see that. But as long as you maintain it and keep up on things, you can get hundreds of thousands of miles. So as mentioned already, I'm hoping we can get this thing over 300,000. If that's the case, then we'll do another follow-up at that milestone. But I hope that this video was informative for you, just kind of showing you where we're at. Be sure to check the original one where I go in more depth as far as how I got all my vehicles to get to that point. Please send me any questions and comments. I would love to hear from you. And as always, I appreciate all the support. So please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.